What's up, guys? Welcome back to the pre-snap read. Man, you already know what it is, man. It's your boy Business on top. We got Miss the lovely Robyn Magee over here, and we got
Hey
that doggy
y'all.
dog, Jerry.
Ah,
You
yes.
already know what it is, man. Welcome to the pre-snap read. From
Hello,
me
hello.
to everybody. Want to say, happy Valentine's Day. I hope you have a good weekend, a good weekday. You know what I'm saying? Just something good, something. If you ain't had a Valentine's, at least give something to your mama, give something to your daddy, cousin, brother, sister.
My favorite Valentines are forever my parents.
I
Forever.
feel you.
Gotta
I
take care of
feel
your
you.
parents.
I feel you.
Gotta
You know
take
what my
them.
mom used to do? My mom used to give us candy. When we come back home, she used to give us like little candy. She was like, "Here go all my
Same.
boys." Yeah, so I was like, "Okay, mama."
I get
Even
a
even
card.
even when them little chicken heads didn't come through, you came through, mama.
When they
You
don't come
came
through,
through.
mama gonna take care of you.
Now, why
Oh,
they gotta be chicken heads?
because back in
No.
the day, that's what they was called. Leave them little chicken heads alone, boy.
Listen.
Go play
Because
football.
not all of them were chicken heads. I'm pretty sure you had your little days. You was
Not
out there
all of them
doing
was chicken
stuff.
heads, but
Okay, all
That was
right,
because
all
of the
right.
chicken heads.
yeah,
Oh, so y'all act up because of the chicken head. So two
no.
wrongs don't make a right nor left. So I'm trying to understand what
First
happened.
of all, three rights make a left or whatever.
Not man, that's not how that works. That's not how that
Oh,
works
okay,
at all.
then, but still,
Mm-mm.
but and it's about that time. It's about that time to bring that man on in. You
Coach
already know.
K.
Sure, some people call him the dynamic man himself. You know, he used to have at the highs of 7 hills, and we gonna just call him Coach K for short. But everybody know him as Coach Kevin.
Yeah, he is.
What's going on, good
Mama
people?
knew
How
it
we
was that
feeling?
man.
It's the orange suit for me, Coach K,
Yeah,
looking so
Yes,
fresh and
sir.
it's
so
sharp,
clean.
sir.
Yes,
Hey,
Yes, sir.
sir.
On the
well, the
I
rappers
Valentine's
out there,
salute
they
Day.
working right
you.
now, so gotta represent.
Yes,
Gotta
sir.
Listen,
Yes, he
represent.
is.
happy Valentine's Day.
Yes,
Likewise,
sir.
likewise to each of you. Hope you're enjoying it.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir, man. Man, give a shout out, man. I'm gonna give a shout out, Coach K, because I know he got a family. He take his time out to, do this with us. So I definitely appreciate you. I want to tell, everybody to let everybody know out there. He didn't have to do it. He could have said, it's Valentine's Day. I gotta spend my time with wife and kids, but he took the time upon himself, to be here with us to talk about this good old HBC basketball. The
Hey, well,
game.
I appreciate that, man. But we here to talk about the things we love, right? On Valentine's Day. So,
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
hey,
Yes, it
love
is.
talking HBCU basketball anytime, man. Anytime. Games going on right now. I'm all tuned in into it. Lots
Okay.
happening, man. So excited as we get ready, in these last 5 games or so, to close out this season and get ready for these conference tournaments.
Okay, definitely. Robyn, go ahead and start. So get Coach K started right quick.
So, last week we talked a little bit about what it would look like to have, classics like we have the Florida Classic, we have Bayou Classic, for our football, folks in arena. But now the NBA has put together the inaugural HBCU Classic. It's going to be happening this weekend at the NBA All Star Game, Cleveland, Ohio, February 19th. It's going to be Morgan State, Howard. What are your thoughts? Are we about to tune into a very, awesome, challenging game, getting all the fans hyped up? It's going to be on NBA TV. Share your thoughts around, this inaugural and, historical moment for our HBCU basketball players for sure.
And thank you for that, Robin. I think it's awesome. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. It's a platform that these HBCU programs need, and rightfully so. And they're finally getting that opportunity to be able to go out there and showcase on a national level. I think that is huge. However, I do have my caveats, my rebuttals. One of the things we talked about last week was the money piece. you
Mhm.
know. And when we talk about most of our HBCUs, if not all, they're across the South, they're in the eastern region of the United States. And, you know, obviously the games are being held where they're being held this year. So I think
Mhm.
it's awesome. Like I said, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. But ultimately, when we're trying to, you know, create revenues for these institutions and really make a deal out of this, create a brand for these HBCU institutions, I think, as it was said last week, you know, in Atlanta, an area like that where, you know, maybe this can be the cumulative tournament, you know, at the end of the season. I think from a money standpoint and just from a business standpoint is more ideal. But I don't want to
Mhm.
take away from what's taking place this weekend. This is awesome, and I'm going to be all tuned in, excited, ready to go for it. I'm excited to see what these teams do. You know, we get that platform. Let's make the absolute best of it, and that goes to each and every program in HBCU basketball.
Right. And you mentioned, going off the financial aspect. I do see that both schools are going to be awarded a $100,000 donation, and that's coming from the NBA and AT&T, to support both schools and respective teams, their student athletes. Um, do you think that's enough though? Just considering, and this is just when I saw the number, knowing that it's coming from the NBA, knowing that it's coming from AT&T, I feel like they coulda did a little bit more, but I'm also on that, air of side of caution of you don't wanna bite the hand that feeds you, right? Because they couldn't get nothing,
Mhm.
they could get, 0 or just, the ticket sales that are gonna be for the folks who are attending the game. But just share your thoughts. Do you feel like that's fair? Do you feel like, maybe in the future they could, offer a little bit more for those teams that are gonna be able to do this again the next year?
Well, first thing I want to say, having sat in the seat at a HBCU, all money is good money. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm certain that those institutions and those programs are appreciative of anything that is coming their way, regardless of who it is from. So
Mhm.
that's definitely good. As you stated, could it be more? Probably should it be more? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I'm working on a dissertation right now. And, you know, one of the things I'm looking at is college athletics and the effect that it has and the revenue that it creates. You know, looked at an article where college athletics is generating $18 billion in a single year,
Mm.
you know, and we're talking about $200,000, you know,
Yeah.
between two programs, you know, on one weekend. Look, yes, I'm pro HBCU, and I think my schools need a little bit more funding.
Mhm.
But to answer your question about if it's enough. So when I think HBCU, there's so much more than, I guess, just the money aspect. You know,
Right.
when we think HBCU, we think culture. And
Yep.
as we spoke about this a week ago, you know, the way that it will be created if it was done in Atlanta, you're going to have the step show. You're going to have the battle of the bands one night.
Mhm.
You're going to have, you know, obviously the tournament happen each night, building up to that championship weekend. And so
Right.
that's what lacks. And I think for HBCU fans who are very spirited, I think that would be much appreciated around the games.
Absolutely. And I wanted to also ask, so this is happening All-Star Weekend on Saturday, and I do believe the game is being played at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Now the Legacy Bowl is also going on. Legacy Bowl happening in New Orleans, same weekend, same day, damn near the same time. I think it's like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours apart. Do you feel like that's going to cause some conflict maybe in the future of those type of events that we want our HBCUs to get the exposure that they need? And for the Legacy Bowl, we're specifically talking about these players, these HBCU football athletes that may not get the recognition and the exposure that they deserve, but now have a platform to be able to, compete at such a national stage, having all of the NFL scouts there. And at the same time, you have, Morgan State, Howard competing for the NBA, or during NBA All-Star game. Is there a conflict there? Do you foresee that can be a problem
Mhm.
because of the two events happening at the same time, and folks trying to figure out who they're going to watch and what time they're going to watch, and are they really getting a fair trade between the two events?
Well, look, I don't want to minimize what either organization are doing for these student athletes. Yeah, it's a challenge. I don't know if I want to use the word so much a conflict, but it's certainly a challenge. Specifically, if you look at the schools, you know,
Mhm.
HBCUs, we don't always have the 10, 11 people working in administration and athletics. So, those people are certainly stretched thin, trying to be there to obviously show support for their football players as well as their basketball players. So it will create some challenges in that way.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future that can be, looked at a little more closely. I know a lot of this is new. This is, we talk about all the time. They talk about, what is it? Before Christ and after. Well, this is before COVID and after COVID. Times have certainly changed.
BCCC.
Hey, a lot of new stuff came with COVID, after COVID. So as this stuff is rolling out, I think that, everyone will adjust. I don't think that there was anything done intentionally, but I think that it will fix itself in due time.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of saying that, Coach. Thank you for that. All right, so let's now talk some statistics. SWAC, MEAC, Southern is coming up. I see that ranked number 1. What do you think? Do you feel like, they're going to sustain that position, or do you foresee them kind of fluctuating? Because I do see they have a couple more games than Texas Southern. I see they've played about 24 games. Texas Southern only played about 21. Right. Does that affect, the ranking, foreseeing kind of like where the chips may fall as we continue the season?
Well, I mean, Robyn, I think it comes down to these last games. I mean, every game they're gonna have to play like it's their last game. If I'm the coach, I'm in the locker room right now saying, hey, we can't lose another game this season. And obviously that's the remainder of this regular season. That's going to put us in our seeding for the tournament. But then even furthermore, once you get in that tournament, it's win and advance. Or losing, you know where you're going. And so ultimately at this point in the season, it's time to get after it. It's time to get to it. They're definitely moved up in the ranks. I see them continuing to do that. When teams are in their grooves, it's just like the game of basketball. It's the game of runs. And right now they're on their run. Scary team, really scary team. And I would hate to be a team that I would want to see, going into the tournament. There's always one, one ghost ride out there that, towards the end of the season is playing very well. And nobody really wants to face them come tournament time. And they could very well be that team, that Black Knight, that's just going to come for everybody. Definitely on the women's side, and I say this is my team of the week, Alabama State University. Wow. I think they're on a 3-game win streak after, winning tonight again. But they're that team that's trending upward, scoring, averaging in the last few games, 80+ points a game.
Right.
So it's one of those teams that I don't care who you are. You don't want to see that team in those first, couple rounds of the tournament because they can upset anybody on any given night. So shout out to them. They're definitely doing an excellent job. There's definitely been some movement throughout, my Rattlers. Hopefully tonight we get back on track doing what we're supposed to do. Had a tough one the other night. But as I always say, I'm confident Coach McCullum's going to get us back to where we got to get. We're actually taking on Alcorn State right now. And hopefully we come out of this thing victorious. But, hey, it's going to be a hard-fought game. I'm going to tell you right now, every game, every night in the SWAC or the MEAC, you better bring your best you because any team can win and any team can be let down on any given night. So we'll see. Like I said, it's exciting. You got this weekend coming up. You got tonight obviously playing out. Most of the women's game have completed. I'll just kind of go over that. It's like I said, I've been following all these games tonight. Alabama A&M with a win over Pine Bluff. That's a big win for them. Pine Bluff's looking really good. Coach over there is doing an excellent job. Texas Southern, they still hot.
They still hot.
They just knocked off Southern tonight. And Southern's the team, if anybody, to beat Jackson State. It's supposed to be that team. So one of the things I love about them is my Florida girl, Perry. Plays down on the block. Excellent player. Came out of Leesburg. Country girl, but she gets to it. She actually played. We played against her a couple years ago. She was at Jacksonville University, and she transferred out of Jacksonville. And I see that she went over to Texas Southern, but she's doing a heck of a job. I know. I said I don't know if it's the FAMU curse or what, but I'm gonna be. This is some humility right here. Rather with me or whomever on that sideline, when that young lady comes to FAMU, she puts up numbers. That's the bottom line. And she's been very successful in doing that. Alabama State with the win over Mississippi Valley State. Jackson State beat Bethune, but I got to give Bethune credit. Now, they was hanging tonight. At one point they were up 5-6, going close to halftime. So they tried to compete there. Prairie View let down Grambling. So they're another team that's, as the season is starting to progress, they're getting better and better with each game that they play. So I think it's going to be interesting as these teams fight to really try to get into that top 8. My Rattlers took a they're actually going into it right now. They're in overtime, battling it out with Alcorn State. So, these two teams, unfortunately, are all but eliminated from the tournament, especially depending on what happens in this game here tonight. That's in overtime. So, again, excited to see how this thing plays out. It's a really good teams, really good basketball being played right now. You are starting to see teams gel a whole lot more. They're meshing better, and just great basketball all around. Whether it's SWAC, whether it's MEAC, Norfolk State continuing to thrive, North Carolina Central continuing to thrive. These are programs, as I said last week, that are doing it week in, week out, season in, season out. North Carolina A&T, I don't know if y'all tuned in,
Oh
but I
yeah,
told y'all they was coming, and now they thumping.
they crazy.
And shout out to Hampton. Hampton's making a big
Mhm.
turnaround in the Big
Yeah,
South. Look, I thought they was almost dead in the water at the start of the season. I'm gonna be honest. But Coach Six, never doubt him. This man's been around this game for a long time, has been at Hampton University for a long time, and he knows what he's doing, and it's showing as they are really competing hard. I think they're in the top 3 or top 4 now in the Big South Conference. So
Mhm.
kudos to them on the job that they're doing there.
Now, speaking of Hampton, Coach K, is Hampton transitioning out of the Big South? I feel like I've heard something about that. And if they are, share your thoughts. Do you feel like that's a good move for them? Or I think it's going to be the CAA, if I'm not mistaken, but
Mhm.
please correct me if I'm wrong. What are your thoughts about them getting out of the Big South, considering how well they're doing?
Well, I mean, so the ultimate goal is to get to the FBS level. I think that's what many of these institutions desire, whether it is FAMU, North Carolina A&T, whomever. There are rumorings out there. I don't know that any pen has been put to paper just yet. But just speaking hypothetically, moving to the CAA, I think for football, I think that they felt like they fell off, in the Big South as far as crowd attendance and everything else. Well, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna fall off a whole lot more going into a
Mhm.
CAA in that situation. I know they have a great fan base that follows them, but it's going to be hard to get people pumped up when you're playing, Robert Morris or whoever, that they may see and things like that on your homecoming game. That is different. Again, HBCUs is culture. We can try to run away from it all we want to, but at the end of the day, you're gonna find yourself right back where you started. So I think that may be an issue there. As far as the basketball, I can speak primarily to the women's side. That's a big difference. When you're talking about the CAA and you're talking about competing in the Big South, I coached in the Big South. Know that level, that caliber of talent, and very familiar with the CAA as we face some of those programs, such as the Elons of the world. It's a tall task, and you
Mm.
certainly have to recruit differently. And that's one of the things that kind of makes me wonder, with how fast they're moving. Obviously, just years ago, they were in the MEAC, and then they made the switch to the Big South, and now they're going to the CAA. What does that look like, from a recruiting standpoint? So you're obviously trying to recruit to this new conference, but before a class can even graduate, you're already transitioning to a new conference. So that's
Right.
definitely tough on those coaches. I hope that that's a consideration within those administrations, because it's a tall order. It's a tough job to do, but I understand their process. Um, trying to get to the FBS. They will be one of the
Mhm.
first to do it. So honest, in all actuality, they're kind of like the guinea pig, if you will. We've had teams that make that big jump, let's say for a year, and things happen for whatever reason, and we fall back to the FCS, but they're actually trying to make the progression,
Mhm.
moving their way up into it. So I mean, it's fun to watch. We'll see how this thing plays out. Kudos to them for taking the initiative to be the one to go out there and do it. But we'll see. Like I said, it's definitely going to be tough on the coaches from the recruiting standpoint, because now you're looking at a totally different player. And that's
Right.
just the reality of it. Your posts right now, you're probably getting away in the Big South. I think our biggest post may have been 6'2", 6'3" at the time. And now you're getting into a CAA where you might go in there and see a true 6'5",
Mm.
every night of the week, in conference play. So
Right.
just my thoughts.
Coach, let me ask you this: is this the right way to do it to move up? Because I know Bam did it a couple years ago with the football team. They just got out the MEAC and tried, or I think it was the MEAC when they was in. They got out of MEAC and just like moved up. They didn't try to go to a different conference to test the waters. Then try to go to another conference. Like the way Hampton doing, I like the way they're doing it because they're each conference they're testing the waters to see, okay, can we compete and can we still do what HBCUs do?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that's a good idea as far as just conference jumping, then going to that bigger level, or just trying to just go straight ahead like a couple of schools did and be like, okay, we got to come back down?
Right. Well, to each his own. And I'm telling you, every shoe don't fit every school. Everybody has their own way to going about things. I do personally like the way that Hampton is doing it. The only thing about that is, to be frank with you, when they went into the Big South, I thought the next move would be to the big leagues, quote unquote. Not necessarily, all the small steps in between, but it's a lot of things that go on in those meetings in the administration, whether athletic or the institution. And at the end of the day, I can guarantee that those individuals are doing what they feel is best for their respective institutions. You look at North Carolina A&T, so now that you see Hampton making this move, you wonder, okay, so what's your next move? Where do they go from here? Are they looking to make a CAA type move, or, are they looking to possibly go even higher than that? And so again, this is one of those things where, a lot is new and we're learning a lot. These teams are taking actions that have been taken before, but not quite in this way. And so we're going to see how this pans out. But I think no matter how you look at it, as far from a fan base, from an alumni base, those individuals that attended this institution and all they knew were HBCU homecomings, those type situations, week in, week out, it's going to be different. And I think when you're making those movements, you have to find a way to bring those fans with you. Because if you don't bring those fans with you, I don't care what conference you're competing in financially, we all know the cost that it takes to get into FBS. If you're not getting the fan base, if you're not having your game supported, there's no way you're going to be able to sustain that. And so, that's just one of those things that they have to weigh out for their institution. And I hope that it's in their best interest and that, things are all balancing out for them.
Most definitely. I want to ask you another question about this Texas A&M Mississippi Valley game. 4 overtimes. What you telling the man after the second one, man? Because fatigue come in, hard breathing come in. All those times that you running sprints, coach yelling at you, but that's in the third overtime. Now you getting to the fourth overtime, you starting to scratch your head like, okay, is it me or is it them?
So that's when we're gonna separate the dogs from the pups.
Okay, hey, barbecue mildew, mouse in the house.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Every night we're gonna lace them up and we're gonna play.
Yes,
and we're gonna play till the last horn go off. No matter when that horn come about. I mean, and that's just my mentality. And I'm gonna tell you, for those teams, the way that they fought it out, it was clearly their mentality as well. Nobody wanted to lose that night, and that's what you want to see. You want to see great basketball. Well, there you go. Nobody's gonna give up anything easy. We're gonna compete because at the end of the night, we leaving here with this victory. Period. Point blank. And that was the mindset. And kudos to those teams. Put on a great game. So I want to see a whole lot more of it.
Definitely. And I know you had a topic that you wanted to bring up. Can you bring it up for us so we can debate about it and talk about it?
Absolutely. So yeah, I wanted to talk to you all. Obviously getting ready for the postseason. Landscapes are changing. Obviously, again, post-COVID. Sometimes post-COVID, decisions happen for whatever reason. Coaches retire, coaches move on. Things happen around the league as we see time in and time out. So just wanted to look, what does the future look like? What do the assistant coaches and the MEAC and the SWAC and the CIAA, kind of what does that look like? And I think a lot of times that our coaches that are working day in and day out are not getting the recognition that they deserve. And so just kind of wanted to give those coaches a spotlight, speak about some of the things that they're doing in their programs and why they deserve a shot at that next seat. So, and want to get you guys' take on that. I mean, it's a lot of coaches out here. I have mine that obviously I've been following and watching, talking about up there at Hampton, a coach that was with Coach Six for a very long time before making the move over to Howard. And when he moved over to Howard, they've been nothing but successful. And that coach is Brian Davis. Brian Davis is known around the MEAC, has been in the MEAC for a very long time and has been successful at every stop that he's made. And, it's one of those coaches, 10 plus years. put into this thing, recruiting the best players, that deserve a shot. And I think that needs to be put on the table. And I hope that, somebody tune in, and hear these things, because I think that they're very deserving. You look at Coach Siobhan. I mean, everybody knows North Carolina A&T, the dominance that they have had, the dominance that they have sustained, even moving into the Big South, still competing in the top 5 in the conference in their first season in. There's a lot to be said about that.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Coach Robinson, my guy, he does his thing. He is an excellent head coach. But shout out to his associate head coach, Coach Siobhan. Outstanding coach, committed, loyal, has been there with him the entire time, recruits her tail off. I mean, goes out and get those players. Man, every year, North Carolina A&T coming with some heat. You don't know who on that roster, but when they roll that ball out, they're coming with some dogs, and you better be ready to compete. I'm going to tell you what. And I think she's very deserving. Another one of those coaches that's been in the league 10 plus years, very, very deserving of an opportunity, should any opportunities open up. And I'm going to even go back, I got a little wild card. A coach that just left the MEAC was at Bethune-Cookman, actually served as their associate head coach and recruiting coordinator, now currently serving up there at George Mason, Coach Chandler McCabe. Chandler, a good friend of mine, but more importantly, a phenomenal coach and a phenomenal recruiter. Don't know how she do it, but boy, she gets them. I mean, we've seen the runs that were made at Bethune-Cookman with those players, and it says a lot when the young lady, and Ron, you may be able to remember, I'm going to say number 2 for Bethune-Cookman, tall forward post player. Okay, they took that young lady with them up there to George Mason. I watched this young lady drop 39 points the other day, competing at that level. You talking about somebody?
Wow,
Talk about. Hey, talk about Coach. Hold on. So this is a little story time with Bridges on top. I'm gonna have to do that. So we in practice, right? We running. You got your team. I was playing with the girls because we had 5 boys that was around helping the team out. We had 5 to 4 boys, so we would be the offense or the defense of the team that we're playing. Man, I'm telling you, that girl had so many plays geared towards just her.
Yes.
Like, I was like, dang, like if this play don't work, they running around doing another play, and this the ball going through her, and either she can dribble, shoot, or drive. Them the 3 things she can do with the ball: dribble, shoot, or drive. Yeah, the pass probably gonna be the last thing.
Right.
So that girl like that.
And she go ahead, Coach. 6'1". So I mean, getting it done. But point is, Chandler McCabe has done an excellent job in recruiting, and it's continuing that on up there where they're at George Mason. But hey, one of the things, when people have these conversations, it's a group that I always see kind of removed from the conversation. And that's these coaches at the Division IIs that are really year in, year out, consistently successful. And I want to shine some light on them as well. Looking at the Fayetteville State, I was up there in Fayetteville for quite some time, stationed at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. And what Coach Serena King Coleman has done, she's getting it done. She's getting it done. COVID didn't stop them last year. They still did what they had to do and are still doing it. I think right now in the CIAA, I think they're second in the league right now in standings. So she's right back in the hunt, to go back and compete again. Another coach too actually was at North Carolina Central, Ron, when we went up there to North Carolina Central. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
So if anybody know anything about Elizabeth City State University, okay, not exactly an easy place to win or an easy place to recruit or any of that for that matter. And let me tell you, in a 1-year turnaround, that is the number 1 team in the CIAA. Got her coaching pedigree here, in the MEAC. So has obviously been on that level, has coached on that level and had her success there. And now what she's doing at Elizabeth City State, real recognized real. And Coach Tanisha Lewis is getting it done. She's getting it done. So shout out, kudos to her. Much love and success to her on the remainder of the season as they get ready to get into the postseason. My up and coming coach on the women's side, my wild card, definitely got to be Coach LaShonda Cousin over at Jackson State. So give you a little story. Coach Cousin, she spent 2 years as a graduate assistant while she was earning her master's degree there under Coach Reed. Finished doing that, immediately moved up into an assistant coach position, immediately moved up into a recruiting coordinator position. The rest is history. We all know what the track records have said about Jackson State University women's basketball over the course of the past 3 years. And she is the first assistant there, if I'm not mistaken, is just doing a heck of a job. And we see the level of talent that they're recruiting. Any team in HBCU, any team in mid-major basketball that can consistently recruit 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", 6'2", 6'4", all on the same team in the same lineup, you're doing something. And I'm not talking about, girls that can just walk and shoot. I'm talking about girls that can go out there and flat out play. Flat out play. You don't know who on the court because they're coming in like hockey lines and everybody getting after it. That says a lot about that program and the way that they're recruiting, and they're definitely doing some good things there. So yeah, shout out to Coach Cousin there at Jackson State. Moving on the men's side, look, I'm a huge fan.
Coach, I'm gonna interrupt you right quick. I got one for the women's at Benedict College. Coach James Rice. He literally since I attended Benedict at 2011. I know he was there before me. Literally winning the tournament, getting rings every year. Like I promise you, I know he got more than 10, and that's a fact. So what he's got there down in Columbia, South Carolina, he got something special because every year he's bringing those girls out and producing talent, hard playing girls, and like they don't take nothing from nobody. So shout outs to Benedict, shout outs to Coach Rice. I feel like he should be coaching the boys, but like it's his demeanor and things. But I think he should move up and be an AD because I know he'll shot the coach at Benedict for real. But you can go ahead, coach to the men's side.
Nah, Coach, that you said a great one, man. Very, very good one. But on the men's side, definitely some coaches that stand out there. I'm gonna tell you, man, anybody that's coming under Coach Lavelle Moulton, true, you got yourself a winner. You got somebody that is a flat out killer, and they've been raised around the game in the right way. So definitely, some of the coaches on that staff have been around. I know one of the coaches actually spent some time at Hampton University as well as an associate head coach. They definitely have some young guns on that coaching staff that can really get out there and make a name for themselves. So if I'm in the administration, I'm taking a hard look at those coaches there at North Carolina Central. I mean, honestly, they're all so good in what they do. Take your pick. That's just kind of where they are. Big fan of a coach that actually just left FAMU to take a head junior college job this past year. Had experience, actually spent some time as the head coach at Clark Atlanta University, was a coach at IMG, and that's Coach Jared Stevens at Southwest Tennessee now. He's in his first season there. I'm talking about a coach that really, we always talk about how do we get to these kids in this day, in this age, in this society. And you want to talk about a coach that does an excellent job in doing that, and it plays to his recruiting because, the families are entrusting in him, and it's a person that they want their kids to be around. And so he's done a really good job in nurturing relationships, and, think he'll be another really good one to take a look at. Jamal Brown up at Norfolk State. Again, when you're looking at Coach Jones up there and you want to talk about a program that just does it the right way, I've actually sat in some of Norfolk State practices waiting on our shoot-arounds and things like that. And Coach Jones don't play. Coach Jones don't play. It's actually quite funny, watching some of his players do impersonations of him. But he's all about his business. He knows what he's doing. He's doing an excellent job. He's brought his coaches up in the right way. And those assistant coaches on that staff as well definitely deserve a shot of some of these opportunities. If not at the Division I level, definitely in some of these Division IIs should opportunities open up. I'm just excited about it. I think too, unfortunately, not often enough do we look at the coaches that are making these teams, the teams that we're so excited to watch. The Jackson State women, the Norfolk State men, the North Carolina Central men, and the guys that are behind the scenes putting in the work. I think that they deserve that shot and that opportunity. So like I said, just wanted to shine some light on them. Any other men's coaches you guys got out there?
I got one, man. You mentioned A&T, you mentioned North Carolina Central, but you gotta go right down the road, man, to Winston-Salem State, man. Cleo Hill, man, he's been doing a great job at Winston-Salem State. I want to say 2020, we won the CIAA championship, and it's kind of just been going uphill from there. Right now, I think they're first in the South Division of the CIAA, and it's just been going on the up and up. If you guys never get a chance to go to the game center and catch a game, the atmosphere is electric every game. So that's something I think he's doing a good job, but I think he can do a good job on the next level as well.
Yeah, you weren't taking a shot at somebody saying that the atmosphere is electric every game, was you? I just want to make sure.
That's my school too. Now that's my school.
I got you.
Shoot. Hey, Coach, I'm gonna tell you the score. Alabama A&M girls just lost by 2, 58 to 60. So what happens to I'm not Alabama State, but Florida A&M lost to Alcorn. So what happened to our FAMU girls right now since they lost in that overtime game?
Well, at this point, I mean, they took a loss in the other night. Bethune-Cookman got a win, and that's what we did not need to happen. So Bethune-Cookman getting that win, Alcorn State was solely in last place in the conference. It's going to move us down there for a tie with them. And, well, we actually got – so in the conference standings, the way that they did it is the first game when we did not compete, Florida A&M for conference play purposes were actually granted a forfeit. For whatever reason, Alcorn State was not able to make the trip. And Bethune-Cookman also received the forfeit. So that's why if you look at some schedules, it will say that Florida A&M have actually won 3 games. And then if you look at other things such as the NCAA, it will say that Florida A&M has only actually won 2 games. Mm-hmm. And so with that, it actually makes it a split because now it's a 1-1 split between those 2 teams. But, you know, we'll see how this thing play out. You know, Florida A&M got a date with the Wildcats the last game of the regular season.
Oh,
so,
yeah, you know I'm be there.
It's still a lot of basketball to be played, man. You know, if for nothing else, you know, one of the things about HBCU that I love is pride. It's pride. You know, the reality of it is, can they finish in first this year? No, that it's not feasible. It's not possible. But, you know, just defending your pride, defending that name across your chest. It's all about that. And everybody wants to do that at the majority of these institutions. So, I'm looking forward to the last 5 or 6 games. That's definitely a big loss, one that I was hoping that we would be victorious in. But, hey, that's the game of basketball. We just said on any given night, you got to show up, you got to lace them up, you got to play the game. They don't just put the score on the board.
Definitely, man. Thank you, Coach, man. Thank you for these little nuggets, these little, you know, everything that you bring it to us, man.
Shoot, man, I love it here.
We appreciate it here, man. We on the road. We on the road to March Madness. That's what we on right now. On the road to March Madness, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, we almost there. We almost there. And one of the things before, man, I get off of here, I'm gonna point out. So I know we say every year because the conversation was last week. Well, Jackson State's gonna be there for the SWAC. You know, Jackson State's gonna be there. Well, I'm gonna make a bold prediction and say that not only is Jackson State's going to be there, but Jackson State will not play in those first couple games. I'm gonna say Jackson State is going to be a number 11 or 12 seed in the NCAA tournament. They would not be number 16. They would not be 15. They would not be a first 14. If they are a first 14, it's because they're at number 11 seed. But I'm going to make the bold prediction and say that they, because of their resume and what they have accomplished over the past couple of seasons, they are rightfully deserving. And I hope that everybody will recognize this and that the brackets will reflect this, that they will be a number 11, 12 seed at the highest. I think they're very deserving of that. And I think that's what we're going to see here in a couple of weeks.
Wrote that down, Coach. We're going to follow up with that now.
All right.
Number 11, number 12.
Noted.
Definitely noted. So the people at home, I like y'all know, like y'all clips, you know, Coach K said it was going to be number, and they was number 16. And you know, that man, y'all better go ahead and clip it now, shoot. Because I know how y'all.
Hey, and if they should make it, I'm going to tell you, you can't just say somebody's going to win over Coach Mo. You can't. You just can't. But if Norfolk State should make it to the tournament once again, they're no higher than 14. I don't see these teams being number 16 that are consistently making it to the NCAA tournament. There's no way. There is no way. As we say sometimes, you know, argue with your mama. There's no way these teams deserve to be number 16 when they're doing what they're doing on a consistent basis, putting a resume together that they have. Again, real recognize real, and that's what they rightfully deserve. But that's all I got, brother.
All right, man. Thank you, Coach K, for everything, man. You know, we gonna have
Absolutely, man. Thank y'all for having me.
We
definitely. Hey,
appreciate
we
you.
definitely gonna
Thanks,
have
Coach
Coach
K.
K information down at the bottom so y'all can follow him. You know, share DM questions so you know we can bring it up on the live or you know on the show. So definitely, thank you, Coach K, man. We're definitely gonna see you next week, man. Peace
All
out.
right, y'all. Hey, take care,
Thanks,
man.
Coach
Enjoy the
K.
week. Always,
All right, you
always.
too.
Man, that was good. I enjoy Coach K presence every
Every
Yeah, me
time
time.
too.
he's on here,
Every time he
I
comes
just
in.
learned so much more.
Yeah, I definitely love Coach K presence every time he comes in. This shoe is a blessing. It's a blessing. Pre-snap read you can catch on Bridges on Top. Pre-snap read you can also catch it on Instagram and Twitter. Let's make this page grow. Let's go HBCU basketball. You can also catch Kevin Lionel on Instagram and Twitter. Everything, all the description is down below. Let's go, guys.